Tonight on CTV News, corporate manslaughter becomes one step closer. More incentives for developers to relocate to Christchurch, and the biggest ever collection of photos from Antarctica is released to the public.
Broadcasting across Canterbury, from the CTV studio, this is First at 5.
Good evening. The government continues to seek advice on whether to bring in corporate manslaughter. Justice Minister Amy Adams has floated the idea as the government continues to consider reforms of health and safety laws. Corporate manslaughter has been under consideration following the collapse of the CTV building. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
Trade unions are backing the Justice Minister's call to include corporate manslaughter provisions in a new workplace safety law. Although the engineering, printing and manufacturing union says corporate manslaughter is vital to ensure justice is done, they say it's far more important that workers can stay safe, healthy and alive in the workplace.
The manslaughter laws, I think, is necessary for this country so that the people who invest, the people who run these companies have a level of accountability appropriate for their behaviours. But if that is in any way going to trade off work at the workplace health and safety rules and regulations, then that's not acceptable to us.
Jed hopes that New Zealand will follow other countries.
It would be hugely difficult, but there is a corporate manslaughter legislation or charge in Britain. Now, it has had its problems by the sound of things, but it's there, and I imagine it will be refined. So, you know, there is a precedent in the Westminster system.
The news comes just after charges laid against former Pike River boss Peter Whittle, alleging he failed to ensure workers' safety at the mine, were dismissed. Jed says the reason is because there are so few regulations in New Zealand, allowing Whittle to get away with it.
While he knew what best practice in mining was, because he worked for 30 years in Australia, New Zealand laws didn't require him to do all that stuff, and that's how he got away with it. So it wouldn't have helped in that situation. But, you know, in the future, any civilised society should have laws that prevent or stop senior managers in workplaces putting their workers in peril.
But would the proposed legislation have helped the 3 men who died at Lyttelton Port over 2013 and 2014? The port pled guilty to charges brought by WorkSafe this month for the death of Brad Fletcher, who died when a scissor lift collapsed last year. Under WorkSafe legislation, the port stands to be charged a maximum of $250,000.
The difficulty with Whittle is that I think he's morally guilty because he worked in a highly regulated environment for 30 years. He knew what best practice was. New Zealand doesn't have laws, or hasn't had laws, that insist on best practice health and safety.
The 6-storey CTV building took just 20 seconds to collapse in the Canterbury earthquakes, and the death toll was 115, 2/3 of the fatalities citywide.
I'm pleased and relieved, and it's, you know, we've been working on this for quite some time in a group. We meet so many times a year, and we have been pushing for justice and accountability. They pass all these other laws. I don't know why it wasn't in place before.
And she's confident that the new law will make a difference.
It's going to save lives, hopefully, and it will make companies more accountable, and you know, there'll be more health and safety driven, I hope.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
The council has signed off more than $70 million worth of cycle and pedestrian paths today, but that decision didn't come without a fight.
In the first round of the city's long-term plan debate, the council's An Accessible City has been given the green light, though not without controversy. Today, the People's Choice councillors voted to exclude all accessible city projects not constructed in the $73 million plan, in a bid to save the city nearly $44 million. However, they were voted down, with the majority of council wanting the projects to go ahead. The accessible city projects would see improved networks for pedestrians and cycleways around the city. It's aimed at making the central city easy and safe to move around for vehicles, pedestrians and cyclists, and includes some major changes to road layouts and speed limits. The People's Choice councillors argued that there was little point in having accessible networks so soon, when people in the suburbs were still living with broken roads and footpaths. They said repairs to the suburbs needed to take priority over the CBD. However, more councillors were in favour of keeping an accessible city, saying the projects are a major promise for the city and had to be kept. Council Transport and Research Unit Manager Richard Osborne said the project was a linchpin in tripling the number of people walking, cycling or using public transport in the central city. He said this would not be achieved if an accessible city were not rolled out in full. The council continues its long-term debate on Friday.
And the Christchurch City Council's also decided to stop charging levies for new developments in the CBD. It's hoped this will attract more investment in the city. An attempt by Southern Response to apparently warn off people against class action hasn't stopped more claimants signing up to take on the insurer. Here's Jared McCulloch.
A move from earthquake insurer Southern Response has sparked questions over a class action against the government-owned insurance company. A newsletter released by the insurer told policyholders they are committed to work alongside and support claimants, willing to take questions and deal with concerns to get their claim moving. The insurer is also offering 2 hours of free legal advice to help answer claimants' questions about the proposed class action.
It's very clear that the insurer is now very worried about the class action growing and that it will be, filed in the court sometime shortly. So we think this flags a clear attempt to undermine the class action while there still remains some possibility of doing so.
This follows a gathering last Tuesday night where well over 200 frustrated Southern Response policyholders turned out for a private meeting at the Cardboard Cathedral to consider whether to join a class action against the insurer, with the lawyer in charge, Grant Cameron, pleased with the turnout.
Very, very good. Exactly what we expected. People, I think, are highly motivated and very, very keen to get cracking, so couldn't have gone better.
The hour-long meeting saw Cameron explain alongside lawyer Francis Cook QC to talk about the process of a litigation team who will fund the case and how a class action works. A no-win, no-fee basis means just that. If the class action is unsuccessful in court, claimants wouldn't have to pay any damages and legal costs. That's covered under the litigation team. But if the action is successful, claimants would pay fees of no more than 20% of the claim, with some paying a lot less. And he says they've seen an increase in those willing to sign up since the meeting.
Well, we've had probably an increase of about 80 in terms of registrations, and the funds are still going. So we're very, very comfortable with the way the growth of the class is progressing.
However, Cameron says concerned policyholders unsure about the class action would have been in contact with the insurance company to get more information on their individual claim, and says the details they've displayed would be the same from any other legal advisory.
The information or the advice that we're giving is just the same as any other law firm would give in these circumstances. So we think it does illustrate there is concern by the insurer that its practices will now be exposed in the courtroom.
He says claim holders have been advised to talk to Southern Response to get advice, leaving it up to them to join the class action if they wish.
We will welcome them with open arms, deal to the questions, and then we're very happy to talk to their legal advisors. Everybody who wants to join the class action is being told and has been told that they should be taking independent legal advice anyhow.
But he believes in terms of the action, it's all go from here.
We think everything's on track. We've extended the ambit of the class, so all the people who have previously settled with Southern Response may now join the action. We were approached by quite a large number of people who have been through the whole process and have come to some sort of settlement with the insurer, but have been very disappointed with either the quality of the work or the value of the settlement.
The deadline for claim holders to sign up closes at the end of the month. Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
It's thought hacking is not to blame for a radar glitch which grounded all planes in this country, but investigators say they've got some idea what the problem might actually be.
Hacking has been ruled out as the cause of yesterday's radar system breakdown, which grounded all flights across New Zealand for over an hour. Airways, which monitors the country's airspace, is currently investigating the cause of the glitch, but says it's highly unlikely the failure was the result of hacking. It says that was one of the first suspicions when the fault kicked in at 2:40 p.m, grounding more than 200 flights and causing hours of flight delays around the country. The system was fully restored at about 4:30 p.m, but Airways says it was down for only 4 minutes and it was the resetting and checking process which caused the long delays. Airways says this checking process involved 6 levels of authentication, and from that it found no evidence of hacking. Airways says the fault is likely to have been one of 3 other likely causes, but currently won't disclose what those are. When the fault occurred, there were more than 50 flights in the air, which had to be carefully landed without using radar systems. The delays affected a number of flights in Christchurch, with normal flights resuming on time later in the evening.
And still to come here on CTV News, a demo man turns to recycling. Welcome back to CTV News. A North Canterbury driver has tonight repeatedly chasing a man in a road rage attack and running over his dog.
The man at the centre of a prolonged road rage incident at Aya River in March will stand trial. A second psychiatric report has found 51-year-old Andrew George McDaniel is mentally fit to stand trial. At the Christchurch District Court today, the Swannanoa property developer pleaded not guilty to charges of injuring a man with intent to cause grievous bodily harm and willful ill-treatment of a dog. He has been remanded in Hillmorton Hospital shortly after the incident, pending compulsory assessments under the Mental Health Act. He has been remanded in custody again and will return to court in mid-August. Police allege that McDaniel had reacted to being waved to slow down by a man as he drove his four-wheel drive past him and his family, who were out walking near the Aya River in Ireton in late March. Police allege McDaniel then did a series of U-turns and passes in the vehicle, chasing the man into a barbed wire fence and causing injuries to his ankle, back and shoulder. The puppy was run over and had to be euthanised because of its injuries. McDaniel also denies charges of assault, driving with excess breath alcohol and careless driving from an incident in November 2014.
They're usually the first on the scene of a serious accident, but today it was more of a relaxed affair for the organisation St John. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
Well, today it's St John Day, and they celebrated by giving back to the community at Northlands Shopping Centre.
So today is St John Day, so we're out doing random acts of kindness for people, giving away little cards that say St John Day and have a great day. St John Day is about giving back to the community and just recognising, where we draw our name from.
St John relies on volunteers to be the voice for the charity, maintaining their generous reputation among the community.
We have 9,000 volunteers across the country, and if it wasn't for our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to do what we do out in the community and ultimately save people's lives.
And there's always a nice story to be heard.
I just gave out one of these little cards and a lollipop to a lady, and she said, "Oh my gosh, yesterday I got a birthday card from St John and it really made my day, so thank you." So that's exactly why we do what we do.
Gary Shoemaker worked as an ambulance officer for St John for 40 years, and now he's a part of a team of volunteers that restores old ambulances back to their former glory.
When I first took on a full-time job as an ambulance officer, I got to drive this vehicle. So it does mean a lot to me.
This ambulance was sold off to a farmer where over the years it deteriorated until he donated it back to St John for restoration to begin.
It's a 1972 International, and I drove it in the last of its years in about 76. So yeah, it means a lot to me now that I've been one of the restorers.
CTV was even lucky enough to be on the receiving end of some kindness today, with the team dropping in a cake to the office this morning.
I believe it was gone very quickly. Yeah, so, you know, CTV are one of our supporters, and you always have us on your program and we share our stories. So it was a way to give back to you and say thank you. We'll be out and about today delivering to some of our other partners and our other supporters. Obviously, it's hard to get round everyone, so it's just great to be able to share on the story and really just to say, you know, thank you for supporting St John.
And thank you for that delicious cake. Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
It could be a world record. The biggest ever collection of photographs from Antarctica has just been released to the public. Here's Chelsea Daniels.
Antarctica New Zealand has launched a digital platform which makes thousands of images and videos of Antarctic history available to the public.
ADAM is our Antarctic Digital Asset Management Program, and we created it because we had 60 years worth of images that we'd taken and collected over that period of time that New Zealand has been in Antarctica, and it had to go to Archives New Zealand. We had to do something with it, so we decided to digitise it before it went into cold storage permanently.
The custom-designed web platform showcases more than 40,000 images dating back to 1957. The collection includes images of 3,000 penguins, more than 1,000 seals, 200 whales and a cat on ice.
It took us about 8 months to catalogue them, but then it was part of the tool that we created, and part of the project was find a way to do this. But yes, we had a team of cataloguers working on it day in and day out from all over the world at all times of the day and night, but it took us about 8 months to eventually get all the information in there.
Christchurch's Antarctic Connection began in 1955 and continues to be the aerial gateway to the Antarctic with over 100 direct flights each year.
I think it will just change the way that even scientists can use these images, because prior to this they would have to call us up and ask us did we know if there was an image of something, and we'd have to spend 2 days looking for it. Now they can go on and do that research for themselves. They can find images that they didn't know were there.
There's even more exciting news for the centre.
We think we've now got the largest collection of online Antarctic imagery in the world. The nearest one we can find is the British Antarctic Survey, and they've only got 19,000 images, so we've blown them out of the water.
Chelsea Daniels, CTV News.
And still to come here on CTV News, the local weather forecast. Welcome back to CTV News. It's no longer waste. A demolition company has found a promising market to sell recycled building materials. Here's Jared McCulloch.
It's been a big problem for Christchurch, what to do with demolished buildings following the Canterbury earthquakes. But one local construction business is doing it differently. One word, recycling. Since 2011, One Geotechnical have worked on many properties around the city. A new extension to the company shortly after the quakes to recycle the materials from damaged homes, not adding to the rubble waste. And the deconstruction manager says many of the houses around the city can be reused.
I think everything should be recycled, to be quite honest. You know, we've all got recycling bins, so you know, there's lots of wood that people can use, and especially the remu that's being dumped. I think it's not flash actually.
Mountains of earthquake demolition rubble has been dumped in Burwood on a site expected to take up to around 500,000 tonnes of waste. However, that number has exceeded to 650,000 and is likely to see more. Around 200 to 300 homes have been deconstructed, with insurance companies IAG and Tower working alongside the company. This video shows the process of how the workers take a property apart piece by piece. However, it's a timely process. A demo team could just take days to demolish a home. For these guys, a standard home could take up to 10 days, with 2 teams, 5 on each.
There's a speed factor, you know, we can't beat a 30-tonne digger, but some of the jobs we have done, you know, where a digger's pulled up, we've been into the process, it's taken us a week and a half, 2 weeks to get it done. They're still there 2 weeks later, you know. They'll scrap around a bit, they'll head off over there, they'll come back. Competitive.
However, the materials saved are taken to their warehouse and sold on.
We bring these houses down and bring them down by hand mostly, and retrieve everything we can, salvage it, and it gets brought back to this depot and we photograph it, measure it and sell it on Trade Me.
Most of the buyers are from outside the region, being sold on to different parts of the country. The most popular purchases include doors and windows, particularly aluminium, but there's a range of products for everyone, with around 97% of goods being recycled. And the rest, like concrete, contributed to the extension of Lyttelton Port. There's a place of reuse for everything.
There's actually quite a high demand for character items as well, character windows and doors. We have a lot of internal doors. We drown in them sometimes. There are so many doors.
After the girls have photographed them, which have pretty much been sold even before they've come down, which is, great.
But Deborah says with a large amount of material being dumped, this process is ever more important.
I think it's critical that it's recycled. I think people are really often surprised and seriously delighted when they see the amount of recycling that's going on here.
And Alexander believes more people should consider the idea of recycling their home.
There's a demand. There is a demand for it. If there wasn't this big push, and it's been 4 years now since the earthquakes, to get everything scrapped and done so quickly and dumped, we could recycle it all.
A focus to help the environment and the future Canterbury, one piece at a time. Jared McCulloch, CTV News.
Mercy's here now with the regional weather forecast.
Kia ora Canterbury. Well, we saw sunshine and cloud for most of the region today with cool temperatures, but let's take a look at today's highs. Looking to South Canterbury, Twizel, Waimate and Timaru all on 10 degrees, Temuka and Geraldine 9 degrees for both of you. Looking to mid-Canterbury now, Christchurch a little bit warmer on 12 and Leeson on 13. Ashburton on 12 also, Methven, Darfield 8 degrees for you and Akaroa 11 degrees. Looking now to North Canterbury, Kaikoura on 10 degrees, Hanmer Springs and Colvin a sunny day on 8 degrees, still cold though, Oxford even colder on 7 down here. Looking to the Alpines now, Mount Cook 11 degrees you had today. Now looking to tomorrow's temperatures, Timaru 10 degrees and sunny skies for you tomorrow and not too bad with 1 in the morning for you. A little bit better than those icy mornings. Ashburton a very similar if not the same picture for you, sunny skies 10 degrees and 1 for the morning as well. Looking to the Garden City now, a few cloudy patches for you here but a little bit warmer on 13 degrees. Watch out for that -3 in the morning though. Kaikoura, sunshine for you and you're actually taking out the region's high with 14 degrees tomorrow and northeasterly winds. Looking ahead for tomorrow's weather for other areas now, Twizel on 12, very much warmer for you than it has been. Looking now to Akaroa, 11 degrees and sunshine, 12 for Leeston and 10 for Methven, sunshine all through here but cloudy in Darfield on 13 there. Now as we head further up north, Hanmer Springs on 10 degrees, a few westerly winds coming in here for Rangiora and 12 for you, Colvin you're the same on 12, Oxford on 11 degrees down there and -2 for your morning. Taking a look at the Alpines, Lake Tekapo 7 degrees. Now looking to the upcoming days, Friday, we're seeing the early teens coming through here, 12 degrees for Christchurch and Timaru, sunny skies for Ashburton, a few cloudy patches everywhere else. And a similar picture for Saturday, cloudy patches and sunshine. Watch out though, those southwesterly winds are coming through for Timaru and Ashburton. Looking ahead here, we've got southwesterly winds for South Canterbury, northeasterly winds coming in for mid-Canterbury and heading up north as well, cloudy patches and a little bit of sunshine for you. Heading to Saturday now, southwesterly winds again and cloudy patches, very much the same as Friday, but as we head further north we see a lot more sunshine, great for the weekend. As you can see over the next couple of days, it's going to be quite similar to what we've been experiencing with sunshine and cloud, but watch out for those southwesterly winds coming through. For now though, that's your weather update for Wednesday.
And that is your local news for tonight. You stay warm.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.